a divorce. God, what do you mean until death do us part?
It feels painful, I feel betrayed, but there is a freedom. Something had changed. So it is a broken marriage, it is broken friendship.
I don't know whether we are single. I don't know whether we are married. I don't know if we are crying for flowers. But flowers, girl, you can buy. It's another great Thursday. It's another great evening. Well, I don't know about you, but for my time right now, I had a blessed day. It was a great day. And I'm believing that you are also blessed where you are and you've had a good day. It is the Fit Show. It is the only Cindy C where that I am, not you. And I welcome you with so much love, with so much expectation. And not only that, but what a great topic we're gonna be talking about today. And yeah, I'm not alone. I've already told you, Andile is on stage too.
Hi everyone, it's Andile again, talking all things wellness with Umama. Looking
Yes.
forward to a great day. It's just the two of us today, so it's my own private public couch session. I'm looking forward to it, yeah.
Yeah, it's a blessed day. The topic that we're speaking about today is called healing after a divorce. And I think before we get to the healing part, I think we do need to have an understanding of what truly is a marriage, because you cannot speak divorce unless there was a marriage before. I have said a couple of times that I remember standing in front of a highly anointed man of God, and I said, until death do us part. And I think I am wanting to talk about that part, because only later do I get an understanding of what that meant for me and to my life. And before I do that, I would like for Andile, to be the one that says what she knows, what marriage is all about.
Marriage is funny. I was reading about the first marriage in the Bible of Adam and Eve, when a man and a woman come together,
Yeah.
to share life together, share finances, emotions,
Yeah.
Because that's all part of sharing a life.
Yeah.
And yeah, really just, it says that a man shall leave his parents
And clean.
and cling to his
And
wife.
cleave, yeah.
We don't see it anymore because they actually never leave their parents. But
Yeah.
anyway, that's a
Yeah.
story for another day.
Yeah.
But that is what it is, that
Yeah.
you leave what you know and everything else to cling to this person to start a life together.
Yeah. Very, very true. Very true that, as Andile has already indicated, that it's two individuals. Now, for me, what becomes very tricky, I remember this one day I was cooking and I began to laugh. I was all by myself in the kitchen. And the reason for the laughter was, how do I explain a whole human being, smart as I am, old as I am, trusting my life completely to another species that I find old, which means that person has also developed his own lifestyle. And here we come together, and according to the Bible, we leave everything and then we must merge. And the truth of the matter is, in my laughing state at the time, I was just saying, but how ridiculous, God, that you can make two strangers that possibly don't even give themselves time to really be honest with one another and boom, there is a marriage, and they stand in front of a pastor and they say, until death do us part. So that is our understanding of marriage. That is what it has been defined as. I think what becomes important, though, which I think I want us to talk about, is the amazing decline or declining, yes, the amazing decline in the importance of really knowing each other. It's almost like women, I don't know who between the two species is the one that's forever desperate for marriage. But one thing that I do know is that men are scared generally to commit. Yeah. So chances are, poor me and Andile are so ready to connect and to feel that we are loved that we don't even really get to a point where, do I really know this person? Just your comment on that.
You know, that is so true. I think the first question you asked me when I first met you, 2014, yes?
Yes.
You said to me, who was married to the guy?
Yeah.
Because unless I know who was married to a guy and I've met the person who was married to the guy,
yeah,
I can have space to say, this was the person.
Yeah.
But if I have not met the person who
Yeah,
married him, Mina myself,
come on, yeah,
how could I be? Because I'm not holding together a marriage for myself.
Yeah.
I'm holding together a marriage for the person
Yeah.
who I haven't met, who manifests in the presence of the person. That person is married to that person.
and that person is you.
Yes.
Come on. Yeah.
Yeah. So who then commits?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to who?
And to who? Yeah. Yeah. That's the honest truth, that whether we call you've touched a very deep part, and hence that day I think I was laughing to say, here am I chopping onions in what I'm thinking is our kitchen, and I'm happy to chop the onions, I'm happy to cook, because I love being in the space. But the dangers that we see happening is that we quickly commit to the name marriage, and we do not delve into what is really the meaning of the marriage. That's the first part. The second part is we quickly commit to marriage without knowing who is marrying who. So truly we are entering into a jungle that is put under the banner of a marriage, and we're expecting that to work.
Yeah.
You were speaking earlier about the stats. Maybe let's just share with the viewers, what are the stats regarding marriage, and are we seeing more people marrying, or Ifat set is becoming much more nicer?
So apparently the rate of marriage is declining as the rate of divorce is climbing.
It's climbing.
South Africa
increasing.
is.
Okay.
South Africa had a divorce rate of 17.6% last year. No, not last year, 2019, and that's the stats.
Okay.
But they are forecasting that every marriage that is in existence today, well, of all the marriages that are in existence today, 40 to 50% will end up in a divorce. That's a scary rate.
It's a scary rate, and I'll tell you why it's a scary and possibly even a likely rate. It is because what happens, you giving us 2019 stats, and boom, 2020 to 2021, a pandemic says, you two that are in the jungle, be in the jungle physically now.
Yeah.
And we know what I know personally, the number of counselings, the number of baby, it's gonna be all right, from people that find themselves having to cry out simply because there is now an issue And the issue is because the strangers are now having to really meet.
Yes.
That's very scary. That for me, I think is very scary. And I know that we're just about to go to another level, and that is the divorce itself. I have never seen such a selfish thing as a divorce. And I'm gonna say selfish because by the time it happens, somebody has long prepared. You know, between these two strangers, one stranger walks in it knowing how long he or she is going to hang around for whatever the reasons, because these strangers have not given themselves time to really agree that we are getting into this because we want, you know. And I think for me that is what really becomes very scary, that it is selfish to the core, because you hide your intentions and yet you know them very well.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, if I could do anything in the world, if I could change God's precepts, believe you me, I would change marriage on one condition. And I love marriage, by the way, don't get me wrong. But I think what hurts the most is the level of the selfishness that begins to hurt the children. I think for me, that's the part where I always say, but God, yeah, I know this institution is great. I know that through this institution we're meant to multiply. But what about in the multiplication when someone else already knows that I will multiply, but when the time comes for me to grab my suitcases, I'm going to leave her with the kids.
And that's the thing, because then another person walks in with an option to walk out. And that's an emotional option that you give yourself when you walk in. I think that is why for me it was such a shock, because I had not emotionally thought I'm getting married with a possibility of
with the
getting out if
preparation.
it doesn't work, you know. So when it now happens, your entire life plan is blown. The first thing I thought was, what's my daughter going to do? Because she is so close to her father. He's the king, you know. And mom's here because, you know, she must be here. You know. And that is the most painful part. And it actually is what hit me first. When it happened.
It was not about you.
It was not about me. I thought, oh my goodness, my children. What's gonna happen to them? And rightfully so, because they are so connected to this person. They do not know what it is like to not have this person here. I've lived a life without this person here. They have not. You know, so it's
in fact, for both of you, they've never known any other mom. But you and this father, and all of a sudden, yes. And the thing, then they literally just changed. I always say they went like this. You know, the one that was an introvert became extroverted. The one that was an extrovert became introverted. And then now I've got two different children. I don't know the children. Because now who am I dealing with? I don't know me. Because now who is this me? You know, because now all of a sudden, now what? So it hits the children really hard. They will not say immediately. It took mine 3 years to say, I think I need counseling. And in the counseling, it came out, it's what happened 3 years ago that I'm really still battling with. I think that's the sad part for me. I think that's the sad part. If you are single and you are very lonely and wanting this warm body, which is very, by the way, biblical. What we really are just saying is maybe never rush to get into somebody whose foundations from a family perspective you do not know. Because that's the other thing that hits us once we are into this one roof that is a house and not a home. Because a house and a home, those are two different things.
Yeah.
But because we rush into it, I don't even think it's really about rushing. I think sometimes it is about, yes, rushing, but also not discerning, not depending on God. Funny enough, in my story, I heard by the time I got into the marriage, I was already told of what was going to happen in the marriage. But then I just thought, me, I'm committed. I'm just gonna be so open. I'm just gonna pour my heart. I'm gonna say to the person that, you know what, you meeting a bold woman, and not the other person, asked for my heart, but I took my hidden heart and gave it all out. And yet we're in a jungle.
Yeah.
And by the time we're in a jungle, I am like an open book because I volunteered.
Yeah.
There was never an interest as to, so who really are you?
Yeah.
You know, what there was a time where I would say, what are the desires for us as a family? What are we wanting to achieve together that will grow us? When you look at yourself, now I'm being me. Remember, I have already told the person beforehand that me, I'm very bold. There are decisions I'm able to take. I can take them 100 times. As long as they are the truth, I will take them. But it got to a point where I one day said, are you happy about who you are and what we have achieved in life? Why do you think I am happy about what I have achieved and who I am?
Yeah.
I'm trying to say, you know, when in the jungle you are trying to converge by saying or by listening to communication specialists that will say it is important that you must actually speak. And then you realize, no, month number 1, there is no speaking, there is more of the bed, the intimacy. So everything else is forgotten once that part is met. You know, you promise each other the world. Oh, we bless God. He's really naughty. But he makes the whole thing very interesting to the point that if you are not careful, that can just be marriage. And yet marriage is it's a whole calling of God. It is an institution of God that must be reverenced with everything that man and woman walking into it must have. And yet what we have experienced is literally just the opposite.
Yeah.
If courts in this country were not busy with other things, I can tell you the longest list they have and that they are busy with, besides bond registrations of homes, is divorce cases.
Yeah.
Oh, I bless God that even in these days it's done via Zoom.
Really?
Yes.
I wasn't aware of that.
I was told, Cindy, this is the time. Around this time, just please make sure that you do not miss your phone call from your advocate, because you're gonna be declared a free woman via Zoom.
Sure.
That morning, I went to the bathroom carrying the phone just in case they call me, because I was not even given time. I just thought to myself, Lord, I can't miss this call because the lawyer had said do not miss the call.
Yeah.
Because the attorneys are not attending to you only. The advocates, sorry. They've got a whole lot of other people that they must deal with.
Yeah.
You miss your time, Zoom time, they're going to go to the next one. So what am I saying? It was easier via Zoom. So technology from that perspective is great because what it does, it just makes you to be on your own with the advocate via Zoom, and you speak without seeing anybody. Because remember, at that time, things are not, and the energies are not very great. So you are better off via Zoom. And God being God, instead of a Zoom call, I got a phone call, man. And the advocate said, hey, is this Cindy? I said, yes. And she said, oh, I am so sorry. I called you late. I said, are you so and so? She said, yes. I said, oh my God, I have been waiting for this call. And obviously she had to tell me the news.
Yeah.
And yet, how impersonal.
How impersonal. Yeah.
But maybe it befits the fact that we were in a jungle.
Yeah. That the two people at the divorce court are the two people who were married.
Yeah. Yeah.
That the two of you may have never met.
So it befits, therefore, that it must be done via Zoom.
Yeah.
And when it is done via Zoom, it's not the two of you.
Yeah.
The other person says, I don't need it. Let her go because she's the one that wants out. And yet, the orchestration all along, you were just void of knowing as to what is happening. You wanted to comment?
I want to comment
Please
because
do.
you spoke about freedom.
Yeah,
And maybe when we come back from the break,
yeah.
let's talk about the meaning of that freedom.
Yes, I was going to say that we're going to get to a point where we are not going. So don't go. Do not go. If you are committed, do not go. And yet I have such passion for the institution. I have, funny enough, in as much as I have gone through the divorce itself, believe you me, when people are saying I'm packing and going, I tell them you ain't gonna go nowhere until it is God himself that says to you, pack and go. So we are gonna come back. Stay tuned. I don't know what's going on in your mind. I don't know what you're processing. I don't know what all of this means to you. I know that to some people already it is just a very big fat game. I'm gonna be in and out of them. To other people, they are still hurting a lot, and while they are hurting, we are here to say, you are hurting from what perspective? Because there are different reasons of the hurting. We've already covered the one for the kids, which I think for me, I mean, God knows my heart. When I saw this coming, I asked him and I said, then why did you allow the son? But I knew that if that child had not come, this was going to end earlier than the intentions of God. But because I was not just in a jungle, I was placed by God. God wanted me to serve the term of why he had placed me into this marriage. And when that term was served, all that I had tried to do now, rolling on the floor and saying, for the sake of the child, no. God, when he was ready, he came in and he made the walls to fall apart. I want to get into until death do us part. Because that is divorce. That is the covenant.
Yes.
That is the covenant.
Yeah.
But when the covenant is then gets to divorce, we are lost. We have half knowledge, and there is different traditional beliefs and practices around divorce. But there was a day when I was just saying to God, speaking to God about my situation. This was already after everything else was done. And I said, Lord, but you really wanted me to be embarrassed? I think it's one thing, man, to be divorced for the first time. Girl, it's okay. But when it's number two, I mean, I'm talking number two as I'm speaking about me. You can imagine the level of commitment that I already had, because I now knew and I had the deepest fear of God. And yet I am singing as I'm sitting here. But I think where I get healed, it is when I begin to say, God, what do you mean until death do us part?
Yeah.
When there is already emotional deadness in the covenant of the marriage,
Yeah.
death has already entered.
Yeah.
When there is financial secretive management, death is in the house.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So for me, it was, Cindy, see where it did not mean, while it does mean that you are going to spend the rest of your life together until death do you part, as in the physical burial of the other.
Yeah.
But for me, because I was searching God and saying, but why? God then gives me the answer that, but when you are dead and yet you are alive, the Bible actually says we are like men walking as if we are dead to the flesh and yet we are not. So if in the marriage there is deadness, in other words, there is an alive flesh, which means you are together, but the other or both of you are walking in the flesh, the Bible says you are dead.
Yeah.
And if in that marriage one is walking in the flesh or both of you are walking in the flesh, death has already entered the house. And where it will publicly say we are dead, it will when you end up having to look for lawyers.
Yeah.
What a draining process.
What a process.
What a process.
A question.
Yes.
When does the death of Adam and Eve take place?
It takes place when sin gets involved.
That confirms what you've just said. They continue living
Yeah.
to someone else.
Yeah.
They never really died when sin entered,
Yeah.
but they actually did die.
They died.
And that is what happens in
Yeah.
the marriage.
Yeah.
When sin enters.
Yeah.
Be it
Sin is
infidelity,
sin.
sin
Yeah.
is sin,
Yeah.
whatever it is
Yeah.
that enters,
Yeah.
death has entered.
Yeah.
And therefore it does confirm what you are saying,
Yeah.
that death did do you part.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
something did enter.
Yeah.
And I think for me, there was a part that I was grappling with, quite a bit, that says, I mean, I always say to you, you left, they left me. You know, I always make that distinction. But as I was going through that this past week, it was as if the Lord is speaking to me to say, did you not leave first? Because when issues started happening, when things were not looking up, was I still fully present? Or did I quickly withdraw myself and maybe to protect myself, and the thing continued to go and die by itself until a person who was bold enough to say, it's dead,
It's dead, yeah.
time of death, got up and then left. Because then in that, there is a place that says, take responsibility that there were two people
Aha. Yes.
in the marriage.
Yeah.
It was not failed by one, it was failed by two. Because yes, you stayed in the physical,
Yeah.
but spiritually it had long
Yeah. You're
died.
disconnected.
Disconnection had
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
So, and that, I think, and I said, Lord, this has got to be the final nail in the coffin to confirm the healing journey that I've gone through over the last few years. Because the only thing that I had maybe just grappled with, you've finally given me an answer that gives me a kind of peace. Yeah.
Yeah. I think just on that note, you're talking your part.
Yeah.
But the truth is, I think for me, when I was given that revelation, it was just sealed and done. And I thought, Lord, you are kind and you are faithful, because somebody who is a baby in the Lord is very likely to judge you while they do not know the will of God for your life. Some marriages are permissible, but they are not the will of God. So when they are permissible, you will walk in them. In your subconscious, there is nothing that says permissible but not willed by God. But who makes it permissible? It's still God, because we are about to live the purposes of God. So I think for me, I want to say to you at home, the choice is really yours. The choice is honestly yours. Do you know who you are? Are your demands fair enough? Do you know the stranger? Has the stranger allowed not to be a stranger anymore? Because ultimately it will take the two of you to get to a point where you say, this is not working. And as you are saying, you may know that it is not working. It will take the bold one to say, ayikho lento, what are we doing, you know? So I think for me, that part is critical. Until death do us part, until sin enters into that marriage is dead. It will not wait for you to be buried. No matter how much you can wish the other one dead, it will not. It is already dead. And before you know it, you will be carrying a nice certificate called DIVORCE, divorce certificate.
Yeah.
The courts are very busy, so they don't even have time to issue them for now. So we're all on a waiting list. There is, however, another reality before we get to the part that matters the most, and that's the healing part. By the way, you can never, I don't know about you, I have always maintained that I never speak about things that I do not live. I'm not a liar. Truth for me is non-negotiable. And therefore, the same even with this topic that we're talking about today. It's because I know I'm healed and I know I'm restored by God, and that is why I'm able to openly speak about it. Because I do know that it does not define who I am. I know my part. I know that I was permitted by God to be in this. Yes, I played my part. I thought, if I do this, da 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 da. But forget all of that. All of that for me is literally just junk. I'm happy. And I have accepted the fact that this is my life. However, I do want us to speak about the fact that let's not pretend that this thing not only just messes up the children, it messes up the one between the two, the one that walked in having a psychological and an emotional and a spiritual contract that I am not in it and eternally.
Yeah.
I want you to talk to me about that part.
Yeah. So that part is the most difficult
Painful.
part and painful that one has to deal with.
Yeah.
Because I spoke earlier about your whole life being messed up
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
You had a vision, couple goals.
Mm.
This is where we are going.
Yeah.
Then there's no we. Then
Yeah.
it means at whatever age I'm in, I'm late 30s,
yeah.
I must start again
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
a different vision.
Yeah.
And that, first of all, is it's confusing. You are you are lost. It is the
lost.
most painful place because it's confusion. It's feeling betrayed,
Yeah.
you know, because you must also deal with the betrayal. Because the betrayal says, at what point did you make a decision to go? And after the point that you had made a decision, manglele mina in this bed, and you wake up and you look at me knowing you're about to betray me.
Yeah.
What conversation was taking place
Inside
that
of
allowed it to, you know, it's
Yeah.
all these things. So it's the betrayal, it's lost vision, start again. It's okay.
Yeah.
Have I lost or have I gained? And I'll tell
Yeah.
you why have I lost or have I gained.
Yeah.
Because after I thought of the children, I still remember thinking, sure, this means that he was never counted in whatever God has in store for me. And I remember I got into my car and I drove and I'm crying, but all I knew was it feels painful, I feel betrayed, but there is a freedom. And that's why I said I wanted us to talk about the freedom, because there is a freedom to find me. There is
But
a
it doesn't
freedom
come.
to find
It doesn't come that quick. That is why I'm saying we will get to the freedom. But I
Yes.
want us to talk about the perception that you begin to have about yourself.
Yes.
Remember, in this instance, somebody walks away, and 10 years down the line, 5 years down the line, after possibly a particular preaching by Umama, God then begins to speak what he speaks to you, which really just confirms and it becomes part of your healing. But when I look back to the Andile I met for 2014, that is the, you know, when you have lost self-confidence, you
Yes.
don't know whether you are coming or going. I think that part, I don't know, and I do believe that God is faithful, that we're going to get to a point where he gives us solutions on women on how to deal with it. Already, this one that I'm talking about, it was a spiritual matter. I was conversing with God. I was part of a permissible will of God to be in this person's life, which means whether I wanted it or not, I would have ended up. And even though I discover little bits that this thing is not integrating, I still could not come out because it was not the fullness of time. And yet, even in that, I don't want to, no one can ever understand the journey of the pain in how I began to view myself.
I wanted to get to that, man, but I think when I say at that point I knew there was a freedom, it did not exclude me from having to go back and now deal with the pain. So yes, I may see what God may be doing, but what it did, it broke me to a level where I did not know. If you had asked me, what's your name? There was a point where I may have just stared at you for a little bit, trying to figure out, what is my name? Who am I? Because it has thrown me to that level of, do I even know who I am? I think I got so confused, so lost, because I don't know who I am, and the truth is I did not know. I needed to go back and find who I am, and
what am I good
even
at?
have a voice. Yes, and this is what I'm talking about, to say, yes, you may, because the word will encourage you to say this, God has the greatest plans for you, but here's what happens in the journey to getting to the great plans. And that is the loss of confidence, the loss of friends, because you had certain friends
together,
and some were not together, but some were comfortable to be your married friends. Now you are not married. Now you become an unmarried friend amongst them, and they are married
and they are uncomfortable.
You become part of the people who have failed. How do I go when I've carried myself as this great success to my friends, to look at them when I've now failed at the one thing that I didn't think would fail.
They still have it all together.
And they still, and they do have it all together, and it's working. It's imperfections, but they've managed it. I don't have it. It's gone. And I think what I always grappled with was, what do I do now? Where do I go? Who do I speak to? Who will understand? Because I don't think anyone can understand, So I pulled away from my group of friends, and I love them to bits. They know it. I mean, we still can pick up the phone and laugh life off, but something had changed. So it is a broken marriage. It is broken friendships, because I chose to break them, because I thought, if it's gonna go bad, Lord, let it all just go bad now, so that I heal once, because I don't want 3 months down the line to think I have this friend, and then I wake up and realize they no longer view me as a friend, because of my state that has now changed.
You're also a threat now. To their husbands, because now they don't know you. Now we are free.
Yes, and that is, I didn't want to experience all of that, because I felt I knew at that very point, I always take advantage of the mess to say, I need to come out the best possible way I can come out of in this mess. Yes, I will go through the pain. Yes, I cry. I will cry driving. I will cry sitting. I will cry at work.
I just
cry, and I cried, and I pleaded, and I said, Lord, do not end my marriage. How can you allow it to end? I am depending on you. I bargained with God. There is nothing that I didn't do to try and restore the situation back to what I wanted it to be. But the more I saw that he was not budging, he was hearing my prayer. He always hears me, but for some reason he's letting it go. I needed to then pull myself towards myself to say, maybe let me align to what you want, because I've asked for what I want, and I haven't gotten what I want. And and that's when I decided I'm going to transition.
Just right there. I think the word of God, when it says it all works together for the good of them that love the Lord, it all circumstances. Because initially when we started the conversation, we are saying that we are so desperate. I wasn't desperate, to be honest. I really was not desperate. I was okay. I just thought, if I'm okay, if I've got the cash, if I was okay. But we get in it without fully being taught
Yeah.
what it means. We don't get into counseling. In fact, we think counseling is a waste of time. If this thing can happen now, we would do it now. Let alone the fact that by the time we are getting into it in the paper, we have already violated the principles of God.
Yeah.
I'm gonna speak, and if it means that this is going to play for the next hour, it has to, because everyone seems to be quiet and we're pretending like we don't know. I don't know what I just did. Come on, don't lie that you don't know what you did. Don't lie that you don't know what he did or what she did, because we both know that sin has entered, but nobody wants to confront it.
Yeah.
So I think for me, what becomes good in this pain, I'm not going to even say perceived, because it's real. I felt it. I think for me, in the second part, it was because I'm already called a servant of God. I'm preaching the truth, and I'm hectic on the truth. And I'm thinking, we are on the same page. And to my shock, we are not on the same page on this truth, and it's making somebody else become very uncomfortable. So in as much as I am the one that is perceived to have taken my bags and said, this is not working, if I were to choose, Ruth says, your people shall be my people, and your God shall be my God. But I could not get to a point where I begin to say that, because we were not converging. I knew that spiritually there was a very huge gap that existed, and I knew that no matter how much I may want to pretend, I will not have the power unless God himself fixes this spiritual gap. By the way, I am already matured, I'm big, I'm done. And I remember saying one day that this thing, one accord, it ain't here. The day it is here, I will know and I will tell you.
Yeah.
And it never got to that point. So what I'm saying is, in this pain and the constant cry that you had, bad as it was, going back to your freedom, but it worked for your good, because then Andile has to find Andile.
Yeah.
And this, I want to say, it is fundamentally important. God never clones us. God makes you uniquely you. God has an assignment for you. And the moment somebody else comes and blurs this assignment and overshadows and wants to change you to become somebody else, believe you me, that person does not have your interest at heart. And there is no way in which God, a powerful, a multifaceted God, can allow that to happen to you.
And sometimes it's not someone changing you, it's you changing yourself, because you're wanting to fit in.
Yeah.
I was married to a person who, he didn't try to change me. I tried to change me.
Yeah.
To fit in. I still remember my brother saying to me, I need you to understand the position you are taking, that it is taking you to a person that you are not. And I do not know if you will survive where you are not yourself. And I still thought, he must just keep quiet.
I'm in love.
And he's young. What does he know? But on the day when we need to announce the divorce to the family, he stood up and he said to me, we've had this conversation. And I think for me, yes, we can say someone else changed you, but sometimes you
change.
chose to change yourself, and you allowed them to change you. You know, because you thinking, if I change,
Then
they will
secure
like me
this.
better, then I will be accepted, then I will.
yeah.
And God is saying, excuse me, what?
Yeah, it really does work together for good. This is a serious topic. Do not be afraid at home to go through the pain. It's painful. Let's not deny that it is not painful. I don't believe that the sooner you jump to psychologists, it's gonna help, because you would have not gone through the effect of the pain. So do allow the pain, so that by the time you go to somebody and you say, I need help, that you actually are ready to speak. Sometimes if you quickly go, you can just get there and weep for an hour and pay 900 rands for an hour, and you walk away, you are as raw as you walked in.
Yeah.
I want to say, as we close, we're gonna be coming back on this very same episode, but this time around we want to talk about the signs or the symptoms that show that you have healed, because it is important that we speak about that. For tonight, stay blessed. I don't know whether we are single, I don't know whether we are married, I don't know if we are crying for flowers, but flowers, girl, you can buy. This thing is deeper than the flowers. Let's not be fooled by the flowers. God wants you to be uniquely you. God wants you to be perfected in that state that you are in. And if there is Mickey Mouse playing in this thing here, this jungle, he will allow it to be in the open, to say it's not happening, it's not working. Stay blessed as you maneuver in your relationship.